They poisoned him, then shot him 4 times, then beat him, then threw him in the river, and he still almost survived. December 30th, 1916, 3 in the morning, a basement room in the Yusupov Palace in Petrograd. I've read the police logbook myself, the handwriting shakes. A man lies on the stone floor, his body contorted, his eyes still open. Prince Felix Yusupov stands over him, revolver in hand, wondering if what he's just done was enough. The man on the floor is Grigori Rasputin, and he's not quite dead yet. But rewind. To understand why a prince, a grand duke, and a politician decided that Rasputin had to die, you need to understand what he'd become. By 1916, Russia is bleeding. The Great War has chewed through millions of men. The Tsar's generals are incompetent. The people are starving. And at the center of power, in the inner chambers of the Winter Palace, sits a man with no military training, no political office, and no business being anywhere near the throne. His name is Rasputin, and the Tsarina believes he's a saint. Here's what made him indispensable. The Tsarina's son Alexei had hemophilia. A scratch could kill him. The boy's blood wouldn't clot. Western doctors had nothing. But Rasputin, this Siberian mystic with a beard like a grave robber and eyes that supposedly soar into your soul, claimed he could ease the pain. And when he did, when the boy's fever broke, when the bleeding stopped, the Tsarina became a believer. Not just a believer, obsessed. By 1916, Rasputin had the Tsarina's ear completely. While the Tsar was at the front, actually commanding troops, which was catastrophic. Rasputin was in the palace, whispering advice on military appointments, dismissing generals, promoting incompetence. He was drunk half the time. He'd show up at society parties reeking of wine and sweat, bragging about his power, his influence, his access to the throne. The aristocracy watched in horror as this unwashed mystic reshaped the empire's leadership. Prince Felix Yusupov was young, 29, fabulously wealthy, and appalled. His co-conspirators were equally powerful. Grand Duke Dmitri, the Tsar's cousin, Vladimir Purishkevich, a right-wing politician, and a doctor named Stanislas Lazovert. They met in secret. They decided Rasputin had to die, not to save the boy, not even to save the Tsar, but to save Russia itself, or so they told themselves. They planned it like soldiers plan an ambush. Yusupov would lure Rasputin to his palace under the pretense of introducing him to his wife, a woman Rasputin had long wanted to seduce. Once inside, they'd poison him with cyanide-laced cakes and wine. Clean, quiet, deniable. Lazovert prepared the poison himself. Enough, he calculated, to kill 5 men. They wrapped it in paper. They waited. December 30th. Around midnight, Rasputin arrives. He's wearing a blue silk shirt, a black velvet coat. He's suspicious. The Tsarina had warned him that night, told him not to go out. But Yusupov is persuasive. And Rasputin, despite his mystical reputation, liked women and liked being wanted. He follows the prince downstairs. The cakes sat on the table. Rasputin ate them, one after another. Yusupov watched, waiting for the collapse, for the convulsions, for death. Minutes passed, then an hour. Rasputin didn't die, he didn't even get sick. The poison, enough to kill 5 men, did nothing. Yusupov was panicked. He excused himself, went upstairs and told the others. The poison failed. So they improvised. Yusupov went back downstairs. He pulled a revolver, a Belgian Browning, and shot Rasputin point blank in the chest. The sound was enormous in that basement. Rasputin fell. They thought it was over. But then, and this is where the logbook gets difficult to read, Rasputin began to move again. He got up, actually got to his feet. Bleeding, yes, but alive. Moving. The conspirators panicked and fired again, and again, and again. Purishkevich shot him. Dmitri shot him. By the end, Rasputin had been hit 4 times. His body was shattered, but he was still conscious. Still trying to fight. Still trying to crawl toward the stairs. They beat him then with a club, a heavy one, over and over. Purishkevich later claimed he'd smashed Rasputin's skull, but even that wasn't enough. The body was still twitching, still showing signs of life, so they did the only thing left. They wrapped him in a sheet, carried him to the Neva River, and threw him through a hole in the ice. They thought that was the end. They were wrong. 3 days later, fishermen found the body. Rasputin had been in the water for 72 hours in December cold, but the autopsy revealed something that made even hardened doctors pause. When they opened him up, they found water in his lungs. He'd been alive when he went into the river. The beating, the bullets, none of it had actually killed him. Some accounts claim he drowned, others claim he died from the cold. The truth is probably simpler and darker. His body simply gave out. The poison had failed, the bullets had failed, the beating had failed, but hypothermia and the Neva River couldn't be escaped. After everything they'd done to him, the river finished what they'd started. The conspirators were arrested, but not for long. The revolution came within months. The Tsar fell. The Tsarina, the woman who'd trusted Rasputin so completely, was executed. Alexei, the hemophiliac boy, was shot alongside his parents. Yusupov survived. He lived until 1967, writing memoirs claiming credit for saving Russia. He probably believed it. But here's what haunts the story. Did Rasputin really have some supernatural resistance? No, the autopsy was clear. Poison, bullets, and brutality all failed because of simple biology and chance. But did his death actually save Russia? Almost certainly not. The empire was already collapsing. The war was already lost. Rasputin was a symptom of decay, not its cause. They killed him believing they were heroes. They were just men with guns making history's noise. The body was cremated eventually. Some say his heart was preserved. Some say his penis was kept in a jar by admirers. These are the myths that grow around men like Rasputin, men who refuse to die easily, and so we make them immortal in stories instead. The poison failed. The bullets failed, but the legend never dies. Subscribe for the next assassination that refused to stay dead. These conspiracies don't solve themselves.